4:30 a.m., our satellites detected a storm approaching the Ares 3 mission site on Mars. The storm had escalated to severe, and we had no choice but to abort the mission. But during the evacuation, astronaut Mark Watney was killed.
Go, 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 go!
Welcome, my friends, to Cordkillers, our mission to report the intel from the front lines of the cord-cutting revolution so that you have the power to control the stuff you love to watch when you want to watch it, where you want to watch it, and on whatever damn device you want to watch it. To help you do that, I'm Tom Merritt. He is Brian Brushwood.
Yeah, man. And that was not Dr. Man, the best of us from Interstellar. That was Mark Watney laying in the desert, clearly dead. The Martian is about a guy who dies.
Whoa, spoiler.
In the first 3 minutes of the movie. And it's just a desert scape from then on. First preview for The Martian dropped today, and I could not be more excited. You had the kind of fake out live stream bonus content that they did, like looks like a web original over the weekend. I am cautiously optimistic. Now, I understand books and movies stories are told differently, and I'm slightly disappointed that they had to give away like the general arc of the book in the trailer, but way more excited for the chance to revisit that world and that story and experience it all. It looks like they're knocking it out of the park a little bit.
Well, it sounds like they figured you got to give people hope or they won't want to see this movie at all. They don't want them to think it's a downer, so they're trying to keep hope alive. We both read and loved the book. I'm curious, Robert Herron, our guest today, have you read The Martian by Andy Weir?
I have not. I know the movie looks kick-ass though, so I'm really looking forward to checking that out. I need a good sci-fi flick to just kind of kick in the summer for me.
The clock is ticking, and the good news is the guy who reads it on Audible is absolutely extraordinary. Nails all the accents, really believable, wraps you in. And in fact, I wouldn't be surprised if everybody in the movie, sometimes they'll do stuff where it's like they'll make you read the audiobook just to get a sense of the voice and the story. I wouldn't be surprised if they pulled that on this one.
Well, it's funny, as Andy Weir, we talked to him for Sword and Laser, said that when he heard the audiobook read, he was like, whoa, that's not how I imagined the voice at all, but I love it. Right? It just opened up a whole new vista on his own character that he had created.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Regardless, you're going to love it, Robert, and it's demanded by the internet. Also demanded by the internet is that we proceed immediately to the primary target.
I'll be honest, I wasn't ready, Brian.
Doggone it. Hey, Tom, get ready. I'm about to toss us to the primary target. In 3, 2, 1. Let's go for the primary targets.
Locked and loaded.
I was born ready.
All right. We got 3 studies. We got studies 3 ways served for you by our chefs at Adobe, Deloitte, and the International Advertising Bureau today. I'll break them down real quick, and we've got lots more numbers to back these up. The Adobe study basically says, wow, are people watching a lot more television on their mobile devices when it's authenticated? Authenticated means I have a cable subscription, I log into an app or a website with my cable subscription and watch the video there. Apple accounts for 62% of the authenticated TV viewings. Apple TV doubled their share from 5 to 10%. iOS has 47% of those views. Android has a stable 15%. Browser viewing is dropping from 36 to 14%. And boxes like Roku are on the rise. They rose from actually 6 to 24%. The most popular night for viewing authenticated TV is Wednesday. But those aren't millennials. Deloitte has a study of the 14 through 31-year-olds. They spend 41% of their time watching on a laptop or PC, 16% of their time on mobile devices, 43% of their time watching on television. So they're spending a lot more time on the laptop or PC, it seems like. And the amount of time on mobile devices is rising, but it's not huge yet. They prefer to watch on demand and binge TV versus appointment TV. And in fact, of the demo, the 14 to 25-year-olds are not even buying TV. Now add to that the IAB survey, which shows that 62% of respondents find content through YouTube, But more importantly, 36% of respondents said they watch videos that are 5 minutes or longer on a daily basis. Still not a majority, but a big rise in people willing to watch longer form content on their mobile devices. So let me sum that up for you, Brian. We've got Adobe saying, oh yeah, people are watching on iOS and they're watching a little more on boxes. The Deloitte's saying, yeah, but the millennials, they're all watching on laptops and PCs, and the mobile devices is growing, but they ain't watching on TVs. And IAB is saying, I don't know about that, but it does seem like people are watching longer videos, even when they are on mobile.
Yeah, man. I got to tell you, the first thing I did on the Adobe study is okay. We see the biggest movement. We see an expansion in iPhone. We see an expansion in Apple TV. Where are we losing? And of course, it turns out that the biggest place we lose is on laptops and desktops. You know, Mac and PC were just 1 quarter ago, Q4 2014. It was 8 and 12%. Now down to 3 and 7%. Which again, it makes sense because. What happens is younger people are entering this demographic, and younger people in general, I don't think see the point of having a television in the living room as we traditionally have done it. If they have some extra money around, they may buy a Roku or an Apple device, but I don't think that's really what they're inherently attracted to. And I got to admit, my habits are changing. We talked about Netflix. I mean, I experienced entire episodes of Daredevil playing in my pocket without me looking at it, listening to the audio commentary on it, you know, or the visually impaired assistants describing all the action. I think this is confirmation of a trend we've suspected for a long time, which is number one, you know, we've said before, my you know, I'm a firm believer that convenience trumps fidelity, and it's a lot more convenient to just whip out your iPhone, especially in an age where we have the iPhone 6 Plus and you got a big comfortable screen. You know, I've watched entire movies on it and don't feel like I got an inferior experience for it. And millennials tend to be very practical when it comes to spending money on those kinds of things. It makes sense to me. Everything I'm hearing kind of isn't a surprise. It's a bit of a validation, to be honest.
Brian. Robert Heron of HeronFidelity.com is weeping now because you just said nobody's buying TVs and nobody cares about fidelity.
Brian Brushwood of Brushwood
this describes
Convenience.
Me perfectly, though.
Oh, really?
So, I mean, honestly, my whole viewing habits have changed in the last year since I cut the cord. And for a cinematic experience, sure, I'll go to a large format display. But what that surprise in that graph you showed that showed the different devices and things how people are watching. Yep. It specifically said that for 2% usage only for game consoles and for smart TV devices, which means that overall what this is really telling me is that people are going for value above all else. They're not buying the most expensive TVs or not using those features built into the most expensive TVs, and they're not looking at their game consoles as the be-all end-all. However, as much as I love a good game console in terms of its overall performance as one of those devices, but you look at the devices that cost under $100, and including also the mobile device that you're already probably carrying, those can provide an epic HD resolution video experience and audio with up to surround sound now. And in both those cases, I especially if it's something a device that you've become attached to, like a Roku 3 or something that has that beautiful RF remote, and you can take that from TV to TV, or you've gotten simply used to that ecosystem, and then you're going to say, you know what, I can easily replicate this in other places and other TVs for low cost. And add to that, just for me, the biggest change in terms of cutting the cord and being more selective about the content I'm watching is the lack of commercials overall. And for that, it's just I could never really, I can't picture myself going back at this point.
Hold on, just
the majority of my long format viewing is increasingly on Netflix. I also find myself, I'm one of those people watching greater than 5-minute videos on YouTube. And it all to me is just, it's awesome how much different content and different sources and the variety, and it's never been a better time just to have video streaming. And even my sports programming, I mean, I swear by the At Bat app, and I use that everywhere I can, and that provides a commercial-free baseball experience for me, for all baseball teams. And I do a lot of work in front of a computer, so that's one of my default devices. I am an oddball there compared to a lot of people.
No, you and
I don't
me
really
both.
Carry my notebook around with me as much, but game consoles, I have to just point out the PS3 is one of the best game consoles for apps.
I want to point out that it's 2% on authenticated TV. And my guess is that this is going to be a much lower number because authenticated means I'm using my cable subscription, and most people are probably putting their game console right next to their cable box, right?
Okay. That makes sense.
I got to tell you, I'm really surprised to see what a small share gaming consoles have, because they clearly are powered enough to handle this. They have the ability to lock down
But
these
if I've got the
agreements.
game console right next to my cable box, why would I log into that when I could just use my cable box? Whereas over-the-top boxes might be in a spare room, and definitely mobile devices are places where I don't have my cable box.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is a testament to the whole idea of, there are two ideas of marketing. One is convergence, which is like, your alarm clock now has a radio built in, which rarely pays off. But divergence, the idea of like, why are you using your game console? Why don't you play games on your game console and instead use this, streaming stick from Google instead? It really seems to be the case taking over the market, which is, I mean, it's exciting because it gives a lot of choices, and by being a single device built for a single thing, I think it appeals to a wider demographic. And I think you're correct, Robert, that sub $100 price point, there's some kind of magic in there. Because I mean, the fact that Apple can go from Apple TV having 5% to 10% of the market of that on authenticated streams over the course of 4 months since the announcement or whatever. I mean, that's fairly huge.
And then other things where you can link your phone, the iPhone being one of the most popular devices out there, and to be able to do AirPlay and to be able to throw video at that and to share whatever experience you have that you're currently enjoying on the phone right to that display device is kick butt. And things like YouTube now, if it's an app built into the display or on a game console or whatever, YouTube makes it very simple to link your mobile device to that, to act as a remote control, to queue up videos and things like that as well. I end up paying a lot of attention to the app experience on different platforms. And the one reason I kept harping a little bit on the game console side of things is that, especially with the PlayStation products, they tend to do the Netflix development. The earliest versions or the coolest features I've ever seen on Netflix are almost exclusive to game consoles. One feature that almost hardly anybody I know has ever used on Netflix is something called Max, where it's like this AI-style helper system or a butler that asks you a few questions, and then it finds you a video to watch.
Whoa!
And everyone's just like, what the hell are you talking about? Netflix Max? And I'm like, yeah, it's been on PlayStation for years.
Dude, I've been wishing for this on the show. I've been saying that this is something I wanted.
We
and
covered
it's got a
this on the
sense
show.
of humor too, where I think that's probably the most appealing part of it for me, is the fact that it's a funny, whoever crafted this and the person who does the voice for it, it's pretty phenomenal. And it's a fun little add-on. It's not the be-all end-all. It's not really a completely different experience just for that one reason, but based on just simple app performance and little things like occasionally new sound effects that I notice, or the Max app part of Netflix. Those are the things that drive me to look at different platforms to see where I enjoy it the most.
I'm sorry, you're saying you think they took Max away?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, I think they might have got rid of it.
Weeks ago. I have my.
And by the way, Tom
I don't
was
think it is.
rightfully
on the PlayStation 3 at least.
Tom was rightfully admonishing me for not remembering that we had covered it on the show. The problem is there's a lot of things we talk about in the show that in my mental Rolodex goes into stuff that will happen in the future, and that doesn't stick with me. Like, it never occurred to me to load up and check out advanced features on our PS4 or anything. So Clembot in the chat says it's not on PS4 anymore, but maybe it's still on
PS3.
PS3, yeah.
Okay.
I clutch my PS3 like it's a little baby now.
I do think it's really interesting, and wife works at YouTube and all that. 62% of respondents to the IAB survey saying they find content through YouTube, while 33% pointed at social media and 20% said search. That is an eroding market share, I would assume, but it's such a huge advantage for YouTube.
And the latest TVs I'm looking at right now many of them are going toward Android TV as well. So you're going to see the Google side of integration pick up, and that I really like that interface too. Rather than start from scratch to build some interface for a new television, to be able just to put Android TV on there and have it be a consistent, good-looking interface will go a long way toward making some of these half-ass smart TVs look and perform really well. And companies like Samsung, on the other hand, are kind of going their own route with their own custom OS, usually Linux-based. And And there's a bit of a growing pain to that kind of experience because you're waiting for them to mature the platform, where some apps you're used to might not be there quite yet, but will be coming. But in the case of something where you have the power of Google and all of its sub apps and products, Sony products are doing Android TV. I want to say even LG. A few of the major manufacturers, though, are all switching to Android TV as their main platform, and it creates a good-looking interface anyway. So it's I think these numbers will only increase as people look for value and for more ways of watching the content they love. And if you've never just sat down for an evening and just perused YouTube as a platform, there is just an endless supply of content on there. I mean, beyond the.
And I'll tell you what, man, there's a real flight to quality happening on YouTube as well. I mean, it's a different world than where it was just 5 years ago.
Well, now that they have an excellent production manager at their YouTube space in LA, I feel like the production quality is really.
Disclaimer! Hey, so speaking of numbers that will continue to rise, I got a number for you. 2115.
That's a ridiculous number. No one could ever achieve that kind of number, Brian.
Well, I'll tell you who did. Us today, just now. Go to patreon.com/Cordkillers. You'll find out that we have 2,115. That's more than a regiment, I believe. I don't know much about numbers, but I think it's a platoon, regiment, battalion. That's what you guys are, and we certainly appreciate the fact that you guys keep us loud, live, and independent. Value for value, that's what we're doing here. If you guys derive a benefit, if you enjoy us being all up in your ear holes, then by all means, kick us a few coins. It won't bother you none. You'll never notice the difference, but it makes miracles happen, including a top-secret miracle I'm trying to work on right now that I can't share.
Right.
He said, blink.
Brian is on fire about this idea, and we can't talk anymore about it. But
yeah, man, let's
be freaking awesome.
Let's keep it contained. All right, let's put this out. This fire.
Yeah, we'll make the call when it's time to tell you. But I want you to know, all 2,115 people that support us. And this is no disrespect if you're not sending money to Patreon. It's totally fine. You can support the show any way you want. If it's writing Cordkillers on a plastic cup or telling somebody about the show who might be interested in it, that's awesome too. But to you Patreons, if we physically could, we would come and give each one of you a back rub to thank you. So we're doing it with our minds.
By the way,
imagine a relaxing, totally platonic back rub.
Yeah, mostly platonic. I mean, let's not get out of control here. I mean, there could be a little bit of sexually charged energy between us.
Patreon.com/Cordkillers. Let's move on to Signals Intelligence. This is the segment of the show where we talk about things that stream so that you can watch them. And we've talked about Showtime. You're going to wait a minute. Is this last week's rundown? Tom, you're talking about Showtime streaming again. We already knew about that, but there's some more information. They have now added Roku and PlayStation View, along with the website access, which I'm not sure we knew about it, to Apple TV for Showtime. So no exclusive like HBO now had. Showtime will launch on all those platforms on July 12th, just in time for new episodes of Ray Donovan and Masters of Sex. It will still be $10.99 a month, no contract on all those platforms. You'll also get on-demand streams of both the East and West Coast feeds if you just want to tune in live and see what happens to be playing. Now, I feel like from one perspective, this seems like a deal, right? If I'm a cable subscriber and the only reason I haven't got rid of cable is I love Homeland or Ray Donovan and I'm paying $14.99 a month for Showtime on top of my basic cable subscription, this is a godsend because now I can get rid of cable. And for $10.99 a month, it's actually cheaper than adding it to my cable subscription. I can have access not only to the live feeds of Showtime, but everything on demand that they have to offer. It's a no-brainer. However, Brian, we got an email from Jackie Hearn who says, no, this is not a deal at all.
Yeah, what she says is, while I'm excited that Showtime sees the necessity of providing a standalone service, if they are going to try to continue to compete with HBO, I do think the price is too high. I also think HBO's price at $14.99 is too high. However, HBO has original content that people without cable will pay for. I don't think Showtime has that. Granted, Showtime has some good shows, but none stand out and will be remembered for decades to come, like Game of Thrones, The Sopranos, The Wire, and dare I add, Mr. Show with Bob and David, which very much you can add because because that's coming, the next iteration is coming to Netflix. I think as long as Netflix continues to provide both a vast catalog of films and original content for $8, Showtime will need to provide more memorable original content first. Maybe understanding the need to jump to this standalone business will be enough to keep them going and allow them to focus on good quality original content. I'm probably wrong, but as long as Netflix can do it better for $8, Showtime should undercut the price, at least for now. Don't get me wrong, it's a good day for Cordkillers, and she'll probably pay the $12 for Showtime eventually. Here's what I think is fascinating, because these are two different paradigms. I think Jackie Hearn is totally right in her assumption that if you want to make a play in this market, you have two poles. You have HBO charging for well-beloved, Emmy award-winning original content. You have Netflix also providing great originals at a bargain basement price at $8. Those are sort of your two poles. Showtime's kind of coming in the mushy middle, where it's like, well, now I either want to compare you to HBO and you don't have the content that HBO does, or I want to compare you to Netflix and you're not the value that Netflix is, so I don't know what to do with you. But you brought in a totally different angle, Tom, which is they're not doing any of that. They're not competing with any of them. They are competing with themselves. They're saying, hey, all you people who are currently paying $15 for Showtime, why don't you go direct through us for only $12? You'll get everything you love about Showtime without that pesky cable situation.
Robert Heron, who's right?
I think it's just a win-win for all of us, because having more of these services without a cable contract is just going to give people more options to watch that content wherever they want. And it also, too, I forget if Showtime still does all of the sports programming they used to. They used to do a lot of live fight events and things like that as well. And if they can continue to step that up and draw in new people by the benefit of having a no-contract service, that for me is the way to go. And it has to be easier to cancel one of those services after trying it than it is canceling your cable subscription. So,
oh my gosh, yeah. Like maybe you could go straight to a website and click a button.
I think that's the biggest advantage of all these, HBO Now, Showtime, Netflix, is that I can turn them off anytime I want. Sling TV is the same way. Like we sometimes talk about saving money, and I think the only way you really save money is to control your consumption. I don't think this actually saves you money when you compare apples to apples over cable. However, it does allow you to turn it off. You could say, like, you know what? I just don't have the money for Showtime this month. Boom. I'm not stuck in a contract, and I don't have to go through the hassle of some retention person trying to, we'll give it to you for 3 months, and then you'll forget to cancel it, and then we'll start charging you again.
And keep in mind, that's a two-way street. Not only is it easy to cancel, but it's also easy to re-up. That's a benefit that Showtime gets, where it's like they could be like, yeah, man, just go to the website, flip the switch back on. That spigot is there for you, and you can just crank it and get all the content you want.
Yeah, I think Showtime and HBO Now are both playing a different game than Netflix and Hulu. Netflix and Hulu have a very straightforward appeal, which is, hey, people who use the internet, pay us and we give you programs. Netflix and HBO are still navigating this. Okay, we've got this huge customer base over here, and we don't want to undermine it too fast or we lose money. So we need to price it accordingly so that the people who really want it but won't buy it over there will still give us money for it. And we know that we're not going to be in 41 million homes on the internet right away the way Netflix is. I think down the road, you see these prices possibly fall.
I think, too, if I were them, I would also take a look at the content that Netflix only offers on DVD or Blu-ray, and then try to get that content streaming for the people that are paying for the services. Because that's one of the things that bugs me to no end, is knowing that, oh, yeah, I gave up my DVD disc plan with Netflix, but I'm also missing out on quite a bit of content that I otherwise wouldn't be able to get. And if I could get a few of those shows or more of that content, or if they specifically targeted Netflix disc library as part of their free offerings or included offerings with the service for either HBO or Showtime, that would encourage me to give them a good look and a consideration as well.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right, let's gear up, Brian. Put on your gear.
Dude, this is built. We built this segment just for you, Robert Heron.
Awesome. All about the gear. No treble. This is part as we talk about the equipment used to stream all this stuff. We got 4 stories today. Let's start off with Android TV. The Android Play Store got 600 new Android TV apps last week, and they broke them down into 20 new collections. So you've got a movie collection, sports collection, news collection, so it's easier to find what you want. Robert, you were talking about Android TV earlier. I think a lot of people dismiss it as sort of an also-ran in the set-top box race way behind Roku and Apple TV. Is this going to help them catch up?
Without a doubt. And having primary manufacturers like Sony go across the board with every new smart TV they're putting out this year, adding in Android TV, it not only just, it's a good looking interface, but it's going to provide access to things like another 600 apps to choose from. And on top of that, they also have PlayStation Now, which besides Sony, Samsung will also add that later this year. So you'll be able to do PlayStation 2-esque style streaming real-time gaming using a controller you're familiar with on these TVs that are Bluetooth and Wi-Fi and network enabled. And for me, that's just, it's only going to get better. And I hate seeing any TV manufacturer have to reinvent the wheel. And a lot of them went down their own custom look and style. And I don't want to see every TV look the same, but at least as far as the core competency of the built-in apps and the selection, and if I can repurpose an account I'm already well familiar with and I'm already using regularly, I think Android TV is going to become a very popular option for the manufacturers out there.
You hear that, Samsung? Shots fired from Robert Heron across the bow.
I like Samsung's new interface, and it is really, really good, and it has some excellent potential, and it keeps things in-house for them in terms of providing the fit and finish for their product. But you just can't deny the power of the Google and its ability just to grab your eyeballs with the variety of platforms they already offer, and to be able to provide that. I mean, I'm an Android user. Having it literally the app store at your fingertips is a big plus for me to even use that smart TV functionality.
Yeah, I got to admit, I've been bullish fairly publicly on the idea. Oh, I'm about to. No, I'm not about to sneeze. Psych! I tricked you. I've been fairly bearish on under what I've perceived as underpowered devices for live streaming, but I got to admit, it's like we're kind of over that baseline hump. And for games like Crossy Road, that don't take a lot of processor power, yeah, like why not? Let's play those on our smart TVs, even though I hate smart TVs.
Smart TV gaming sucks. I mean, it is just one of the worst experiences I've had. Even the latest and greatest TVs, the built-in games are a throwback to those ancient cell phone games that we used to play, if they're even that fun. But with stuff like PlayStation Now, where it's doing pretty much the computation and rendering on the back end and streaming it to you as a streaming game service, that to me was just like suddenly, okay, this is something I would actually pay for and use if I didn't have already another game console or something like that, or I just wanted some casual gaming to enjoy. And for me, that's the big draw right there. And even the newest TVs I'm finding are all equipped with dual quad and octa-core processing. They seem to be pretty good this year as far as being able to provide the oomph that's comparable to most set-top boxes. And aside from Roku and that beautiful RF remote they have, a couple of the premium TVs I've looked at so far do incorporate Wii-like remotes and Wiimote-like remotes, and also just that RF connectivity. So you don't even really need line of sight anymore. You can keep the remote under the covers while you're just doing your thing. And
wow.
And I think the usability overall is just it's there, and if the apps are compelling, and Lord knows, as a Android user, I'm always on that store checking out for new content and sharing that with friends of mine. So I really like the way that's going, and I'm glad to see it finally go away from more than being like a third-party add-on box with a variety of different takes on it to here's the core software. We're going to make sure it builds in with the TV nicely. It times well with Lollipop or 5.0 Android in terms of its refresh in the interface. And all of the new TVs I've seen going with Android TV are going to be updated to something like a Lollipop interface or better, 5.1 probably by the end of the year. So it's good stuff.
Right on.
Strategy Analytics says Fire TV is good stuff too. At least a lot of people think it is. 30% of set-top box shipments in Q1, that's 3.5 million Fire TVs, were bought. Apple TV topped 15 million, so they're still far and away the leader in the set-top boxes. But Fire TV, surprisingly popular. I don't know why I say surprisingly. It's just I feel like we heard so many bad things about the Fire phone that maybe it's bleeding over into my perceptions of the Fire TV, but it's doing well.
I don't know that that's a nutty position to have. I mean, they definitely tarnished the Fire brand by trying to bundle it with an experimental product that didn't really take off. However, you've heard me praise my Fire TV stick, and I keep thinking I really need to get a full-fledged Fire TV. for that could be hardwired into our local network. What about you? Are you bullish, Robert, on the Fire TV?
Oh hell, it's the best out of box experience I've had with any of the stick devices. If you're an Amazon Prime member, apparently they pre-program the damn thing as it leaves the factory.
What?
And when you plug it into the TV, it has your account and everything already in there. And I thought that was just the nicest little touch. Granted, I got that as a pre-order, so maybe they only did that with pre-orders. But when I opened the box, I didn't have to put in my account or anything. It's like,
Amazon
Robert,
account,
you finally opened the box. Enjoy. Go about your business.
My
no
Amazon
hassle.
Prime account is under Eileen's. That was a pain.
Oh no! So did it actually make it more difficult for you?
Well, it came pre-programmed for me, which was awesome until I was like, well, but I actually have to switch it. It would have been really nice.
Looking at you one. They go on sale occasionally. So $20.
A couple of
I think.
dongles here. AirTame is a dongle, Chromecast or Fire TV stick-like dongle that mirrors your screen. It's actually being pitched to enterprise because it does just straight-on mirroring your screen, which is really appealing to me. Works Android, iOS, Windows, Linux, Mac. A little bit pricey, though. $199 until October 1st, at which point it goes up to $299. And then if you're in India, Tiwi 2 is a Chromecast-like dongle. Apps for Android and iPhone, Windows Phone, has a Chrome extension compatibility, Windows, Mac, and Linux, and basically accesses your stored media or YouTube, and different apps on the different platforms can access a few other things. It's 2,399 rupees, or about $38.
Wow.
US.
We had spoken before about Chrome's ability to kind of negotiate and make it easy for any random person with a smartphone to walk in and find the Chromecast to sling stuff to. I had over the weekend, I took my daughter up to a friend's lake house whose dad, and again, his dad's not the most technically savvy guy, but he happened to have a Chromecast, and it was amazing that I just started a YouTube video and played it and threw it over there, which made me very happy. And so if there are more competitors in that space, if Tiwi can, even get a tiny foothold in there, I think it's good for everyone, because that was real nice. The ability to just have, whip something out and throw it right up on a rando screen that I didn't have set up an account with, I didn't negotiate anything with, just made it super simple. And I'd love to see more of that.
I think though for $299 for mirroring your smartphone on a TV, that's overpriced. But however, every new smart TV I've seen this year and last year, for the most part, offers screen mirroring for at least Android devices, and I imagine it works just fine with others as well. And it works surprisingly well. My biggest concern is latency. So if you're thinking you can throw your cell phone game up on the screen and actually have a usable experience, that might be a stretch. There might be just enough of delay in these products and that technology at this point where that's not really quite possible yet. But as far as video streaming or simplified, phone sharing of any kind on the big screen, they make it easy as pie nowadays for these TVs, and that shouldn't be an issue at all. And they also offer features as well, like being able to split screen the TV's display and have like a browser on one half and the video on the other, and a bunch of other stuff as well. But I'm always impressed with how they're improving that experience in terms of just being able to put more stuff into the TV to interact with the mobile devices you already have. And I that trend will continue. And good golly, I love Chromecast as well. That's just one of those fantastic do everything devices that seems to just save me in a pinch when I need to show a YouTube video quickly, or we just want to show, usually a lot of YouTube videos, but also app support too, like MLB TV and all the other cool stuff you can do with it, let alone just sharing a tab out of a browser or any simplified thing like that you would like to add to a smart TV. Because there's also that whole fear I've run into more frequently than not. People are a little paranoid about the whole smart TV thing and having a TV where you have to say yes to a 100-page
especially just
saying that we're monitoring everything you're doing.
I mean, and it makes sense. That. I mean, we all read in high school 1984, which was literally about a television that listens and watches you. And the menace that represents. So it's probably not surprising that people are a little quirky on it.
Xbox, watch TV,
network security.
Yeah.
I was gonna say network security too. People basically air shark these products and find out that they're not as secure as you think, or it's easier. It gets easier every day to monitor and figure out what kind of traffic is flowing. and the hackability of these products. Because I'll be honest with you, once they leave the factory, there's really little interest in fixing anything if they don't have to.
Dude,
so,
I mean, we'll talk about this later on when we talk about the stuff that we're watching, but I watched Citizen 4, and it's weird to watch the socially awkward movement of Edward Snowden saying, now, if you'll excuse me for a moment, throw a blanket over his head to protect himself from any of the devices that might have microphones or cameras on him, even though nobody knows where he is at the time. I mean, yeah, those are very real concerns.
A much more minor concern, but Goucham in the chat room points out with these mirroring dongles too, it's not going to be able to mirror everything because of HDCP. If it's protected content that doesn't say that airtime is approved, you're not going to be able to send that video over to the TV. So none of these things, because of the way we've set up DRM on HDMI, none of these things are going to be able to work as well as they could. Because otherwise, yeah, I agree with you, Robert. $300 is a little bit much, but if it really could just like simply mirror, I'd be tempted.
Yeah.
If they claim something like 4 millisecond latency or something like that,
oh yeah,
where you could then use it for all the Android games, and because that was the first thing I did on Samsung's latest TV was pull my phone out, do the screen mirroring, and then play like Zombie Highway or something for a little bit on it, just to see if it was even doable. And it was close. It was pretty close, but it was still lagging just enough
to
where I'd look at it more for just either demonstration purposes or for watching a video I'm already looking at on that screen, scaled up onto the big screen.
Let's take a moment here to tell you that if you haven't read The Martian by Andy Weir, you absolutely should go read it. But cool. I know a lot of you have already read it and you're excited about the movie. So in the meantime, you can pick up Citadel 32 by me. It's about space people and folks on the moon.
It's pretty much the same. Like, imagine that your grandmother wanted to buy The Martian.
It's lacking 99% of the scientific accuracy and content of Andy Weir's book, but it's cheaper. So go check it out. TomBarrettBooks.com. Citadel 32. It's a post-apocalyptic story about a monk on Earth and a scientist on the moon.
It's the transmorphers to Weir's The Martian. Is what
it's really
is.
short.
I have
you
to
can
read
it while you're waiting in the theater to watch The Martian.
There you go. See, it works great.
Awesome.
I love.
What is your chat room, by the way? Where can I look at that?
Wait, the chat room? irc.cordkillers.com. And in the meantime, I just want to give a shout out to the amazing self-deprecating way Tom, I'm going to use air quotes as I say, sells his wares. Like, you're selling them insofar as that you admit that your products exist.
They do. They fully exist at TomBarrettBooks.com. Go check it out to prove me wrong.
They fully exist. That's a guarantee. Take that to the bank or your money back. Shall we move into the front lines?
Absolutely.
Front lines.
Who? Netflix is making a war movie with Brad Pitt. The movie is called War Machine, and it stars Pitt as a U.S. general in Afghanistan. It's a satirical comedy based on a real general and a nonfiction novel. Shooting should start in August with a release in Netflix and select theaters this year. So this is another case of a Netflix original going to theaters.
Releasing next year.
Yeah. Oh, did I not say next year?
I think you said this year, but just now we're clear.
All right.
I love this idea of Netflix now moving into the like Brad Pitt stuff. I mean, it's one thing for them to do the Liberace movie with big stars on HBO. That's huge. But this takes it to another level, don't you think? I mean, this is the kind of thing that will be up for an Academy Award.
Oh, dude, in a huge way. And it's a smart play. Like Netflix has made smart, knock them out of the park hits every time. Robert, is this something you're going to run out and check out?
Maybe. I mean, if it's as good as anything else Brad Pitt's been in war-wise, be it Inglourious Bastards or some of the other flicks he's done recently. He's a decent actor. I like the guy. And if it's good content, I'm down with it. I really don't need like another Saving Private Ryan, but that was another good movie.
Dude,
I've seen that movie so many times, Private Ryan in particular, that I know most of the flubs in the movie where you see the rubber knife and it just blows it for me. So I have to only see things like once or twice. But yeah, I'll see it. Of course I will.
YouTube is launching live E3 coverage on June 14th with the Nintendo World Championships, followed by the announcement of a new Doom franchise. Then it continues June 15th at 9 a.m., a 12-hour live stream hosted by a man who has a little familiarity with that, Jeff Keighley. He does the BlizzCon coverage as well. Live coverage of the press conferences from Microsoft, Xbox, Sony, EA, Ubisoft, and a few other publishers. So YouTube trying to steal a little of that Twitch coverage because Twitch is doing the same thing.
Dude, I've been to 5 or 6 E3s, and while and each time I go, I get less and less out of it, and I get a stronger and stronger sense that I would get a better experience if I just stayed home and watched all the live streams. So I think this is a brilliant idea. I think E3 is at this point where people want to get the news the second it comes out, and now all the content providers are providing feeds to their original announcements. Robert, are you into video gaming at all? Does this do anything for you?
Oh, I do. I don't have as much time as I used to, so I value whatever moment I can sit down and in either console game. I have like a stack of, or a handful of AAA titles from my PlayStation that I haven't even touched yet that I feel bad about, and my Steam account overflows with content that I really need to get back into. And I'll be honest with you, if I can do a major event like that, like an E3, and watch it live, streamed on the internet, in the living room, on the big screen, I absolutely love that. And it's a great way for me to be there without the hassle of travel or the serious crowds. I mean, I do my CES show once a year, and that's almost enough.
Yeah, sure.
But I absolutely love E3 just because it is nothing but games, and it's an awesome environment to be in. It's totally different, and it's dedicated, and it's colorful and bright. And if you can do it, go there and be there. But man, to haul ass from event to event and to really take it in, it's a lot easier just to sit on the couch with your notebook and just watch and enjoy and watch the great production that it is. And I'm really thankful for services like Twitch, even Apple when they stream their live events, and if YouTube now is going to jump in and provide some E3 coverage. That's what I want. So.
Heck yeah.
I want to hear a report back about whether Twitch, YouTube, or some other streamer had the better take on E3.
Well, considering how much of it will be raw feeds, I mean, you're right. They're also entering this phase where it's like they've got their own kind of correspondence. Like Twitch TV is doing a really good job of doubling down on our friend of the show, Man versus Game. Stephen Colbert launched a new app called, I assume it's pronounced Colbert. Spelled Colbr. It has a video of him and his beard, and of him shaving his beard. So my guess is that this will go on to feature all of the best bits from his new CBS show once it comes out.
It seems like it's meant to like really try to get people into the tent who wouldn't have normally watched Letterman. It's going after the mobile crowd, the millennials. We get tired of saying it. But he's added more things since the beard. He's got introducing a new friend and Steven's next big decision. So it's turning into a little bit of a video blog.
Yeah. However, it also, the pacing is just so old school. This is a 5-minute video about him shaving. If this was on YouTube, this might as well be Lawrence of Arabia of YouTube
as IAB
videos.
points out, people are watching longer videos now.
Well, then at least get it way past 5 minutes. I don't know. Yeah, so there's that.
Netflix will launch a service in Portugal, Italy, and Spain in October. That'll put Netflix in 50 countries, and it wants to be in 200 by the end of the year. So they better pick it up. It's halfway through.
Wow. No, not even halfway to 50. Halfway through the year.
Halfway through the year.
Yeah. It's called geometric progression, Tom, and I'm sure they'll hit it.
Oh, absolutely. Fibonacci's sequence.
Yeah. Robert, do you have any thoughts on Netflix's expansion?
It will probably take their stock to, 800 from the 600 or so it is today, or it was.
God, I remember mocking them.
That is just incredible how popular their service is. And I don't know. My thoughts are really, will somebody bigger buy out Netflix eventually, or will Netflix then gobble up some of the other wannabe purveyors of video content?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no way. I feel like they're about to become a dominant force. They're becoming a network unto
themselves. They will
themselves.
do the gobbling, not be gobbled.
Yes, yeah. I have that feeling too.
Speaking of gobbling, here's something that has nothing to do with that. Recode got some industry executives familiar with the matter to tell them Sling TV has about 250,000 subscribers. For comparison, Hulu has 9 million, Comcast 22 million, and Netflix 41 million. I do think it's relevant to point out that Sling TV is all of 6 months old and hitting 250,000.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to read this. In some ways, I look at it and go, wow, that's 250,000 people. Sling TV's doing great. They're making $5 million a month, even if they only have the $20 plans. And so they're obviously making more than $5 million because people will have the little add-on plans. But at the same time, it's like, wow, they got a long way to go before they're challenging anyone, which maybe is exactly what Sling wants. They want to build a base, but they don't want to offend any of the channels that they're carrying, because remember, they have caps on some of these channels. They're like, well, you can't go over 2 million subscribers at this point. So they want to grow at the right rate. And I guess that's what this is.
It's not a bad plan, actually, because you have to maintain quality. Like when they first did the finals for the NBA, there were apparently some issues being able to watch that live.
Yeah.
So if they can just keep pushing this in a way that makes it more and more appealing, yet at the same time maintaining the speed and performance you need to do this right, especially with HD quality, I'm all for it. And I'm glad they're doing it. And even with the main package plus all the expanding universe of add-on packages you can do for a variety of different content, including foreign language services now and content related to that, and more sports programming and a little more of everything, really, if you want to target your viewing toward a particular category.
Yeah, I was watching it this weekend. I watched a little of the College World Series on Saturday morning, and it was great because it was in the Roku in the bedroom and just turned it on, had it on the background. We watched some HGTV on it. It worked great. But then I went to watch the Illinois baseball game, which turned out I shouldn't have watched anyway because they lost horribly. But it just wouldn't work. It said, we're having a problem. So it's still not quite there. There's still these little bugs from time to time that annoy me and are just enough to make somebody like, I don't know, my wife, who's like skeptical, go, yeah, see, it's not there yet. It's not ready yet. So
and you can kind of see what Netflix had to do in their growing in terms of being able to put an array of hard drives as close to you as possible, either through your local ISP or your local cable service or whoever's providing you your internet. And that was one of the ways they went about becoming pretty much their own CDN.
I think
at that
Sling
point,
actually just carries the streams from the providers rather than streaming it themselves. At least in a few cases, it seems that way.
Yeah. I wonder if that opens them up then to if they're having problems with the broadcast or the satellite transmission. Because even cable television is still satellite delivered. So,
well, I was able to go to the Watch
sunspots.
ESPN app and get the Illinois game to stream just fine. So I know it wasn't the satellite. It was Sling's authentication for some reason, I think.
That's too bad.
Vimeo now lets creators offer a monthly subscription to their channels that can be worldwide or geo-restricted. It's up to the creator, and the creator keeps 90% of the revenue, so they can make their own little mini subscription service.
I think that's good. I don't know how useful it'll be, or even how used it'll be. For example, let's say you're the kind of people this would appeal to is, let's say, Vice, right? Somebody who has a reputation for highly well-produced, regular content constantly coming out. The only way to make it useful for Vice is if Vice decides to artificially choke distribution in other places, right? So I mean, again, it's like this is a great solution for somebody who I can't imagine. Like I can't even think of a single person that needs this right now. But it's good that they're offering it. Robert, can you?
You bring up a great point. I was thinking perhaps if you had a library of curated content that you want to recover as much money as possible in terms of marketing it, it's 90% sticks out to me. But at the same point, you have to have somebody willing to pay the subscription fee to watch that content.
Well,
so
so like the library thing even is a problem, because let's say that you've spent 7 years making guitar tutorials or whatever, and so you have this vast library. Somebody could subscribe and they know they'll get guitar tutorials moving forward. The problem is if you lock it off, number one, if it's any content that used to be for free, you run the risk of piracy. But I don't know though. Meanwhile, like I know that Dan Carlin over at Hardcore History makes all of his podcasts available for free for the first X amount of time, and then from there makes them available for $1 a show. I don't know. I would love to hear a case study. If you're somebody out there for whom this is a godsend, please write us at cordkillers@gmail.com.
Do you know offhand if Vimeo is allowing you to buy content per episode, or is it something you have to subscribe to this on-demand service and then you get like all you can eat? That was the part I'm uncertain of. And I think it would be better if perhaps you could price the content per episode and then, they keep the 10% and then 90% goes back to the content owner.
You could do that on Vimeo already. This is saying like,
okay,
I want to make it so that somebody can get an all-you-can-eat plan. It's just another option to provide.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Let's see what's under surveillance. Besides your email. Brian, what you been watching these days?
Dude, I went and saw Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland live in person. Took along Bryce and Brant, and we got Shane, one of our friends at the show, and got to watch 2 episodes from the upcoming season of Rick and Morty. And I'm gonna let Bryce chime in. What did you think, Bryce? Was it good?
So good. It's gonna be such a great season. Oh my god.
Yeah, no, it takes oftentimes a while for people to really figure out their voice in the formula, and I think both of these episodes were excellent, and we only saw the rough version of it. My favorite part was when they explained, they pretty much said, we can't physically stop you from trying to bootleg this, so instead we're going to appeal to you as a fan. You're here because you like the show, and the exact words they used were, if your grandmother is dying on her deathbed and she loves Rick and Morty, and all she wants to do before she dies is see Rick and Morty, don't record this. Don't show her. She'll see it when she's in heaven. And then that's all they needed to say.
That's awesome.
She can wait.
But outside of that, it's all the same suspects. Although I mentioned I saw Citizen 4, which was really fascinating. Everything else, I think you and I both watched.
Sense8, The Shield, Game of Thrones, the usual, Sense8's new, but we'll talk about that on Spoiler in Time. The one thing I watched this week that surprised me in how much I enjoyed it, because I've seen it before, is Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. And, I've enjoyed it before, but it was not something that pulled me back in, but it was a reunion. It was Jerry Seinfeld along with Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and they even brought in some clips from old Seinfeld episodes. This isn't anything connected with Hulu. There wasn't any push to Hulu or anything because Hulu's launching the whole Seinfeld back catalog. But it was really fun to see those two people who are obviously good friends hanging out, driving around, getting coffee. A little bit of it is that I recognize the place they were in Santa Monica too. But it was very sweet. So if you were at all ever a fan of Seinfeld, I think you'd really enjoy it.
Right on.
What you been watching, Robert?
I've spent the last couple of weeks packing and moving crap, so I haven't seen a whole lot. Although I have been catching up on a lot of comedy on Netflix. So there was a couple of new ones in. For the life of me, there's probably a history function in Netflix. I could pull it right up. But beyond that, the baseball season in full effect. Trying to keep up with the basketball games. And I have to just get, if you're a baseball fan and you don't have that At-Bat app, that's the way all sports programs should be done. It should be on an app like that where you'll have effectively unlimited DVR style viewing of all the games in HD. And coming next season, they're saying that they'll even get rid of the blackout situation where local games get blacked out if you have to experience that unfortunate problem, I think, with that type of programming. However, there are ways around that. You can figure that out on your own. But there's some terrific services that hide your location, I should say. Beyond that, I am itching to get into my local Super Digital Complex theater and check out they have a new audio system in place. And I just want to pick a good movie and actually just go experience it on a 4K digital screen with probably 20 or 30 speakers surrounding me and in an environment like that, which I don't do often enough. And it's good to go see commercial cinema once in a while, I think, because it's still the best thing out there in terms of the visual experience, in terms of color quality, in terms of just the size and presentation of it. And most people don't have, a 22.5 system or better for audio. So that's always kind of fun too.
And finally, a new element to Under Surveillance. Bryce Castillo, our producer, is responding to some folks saying, hey, what about pointing out some new things that aren't on, say, Netflix or from big production companies? And Bryce, you've got some great suggestions in that vein. What are you seeing? We're going to call you the Lookout, scouting ahead.
Yeah, the On the Lookout segment. So I guess today I wanted to recommend a show on Netflix. This came out around, I want to say March, called Chef's Table. We got the trailer here. And if you've ever seen Jiro Dreams of Sushi, have you guys ever seen Jiro?
Sure, yeah.
Jiro Dreams of Sushi is
great.
one of my
Epic.
favorite docs ever.
David Gelb, who directed and produced that, produced this series. And it's a 6-part documentary series about chefs all around the world who are either 3 Michelin stars or up and coming talent, and gives them the whole treatment, the whole Jiro Dreams of Sushi treatment. and it's not technical. It's about the story of their lives and where they come from, how they approach cooking. So you probably won't learn anything.
Well, and this it sounds a lot. I mean, I didn't really learn too much about the technique of fish, presenting on
Right.
Jiro Dreams of Sushi. That was a character, a story driven thing. This looks a lot to me like the transition that Morgan Spurlock made after the success of Super Size Me. He did a show on either FX or AMC called 30 Days, right? Where it's like he took the same formula and applied it. He was one of a bunch of people who were doing this. Would you say that's analogous?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. It's a very
You
human
need to stop
presentation.
showing me this trailer because I'm getting lost in it, man. It's
It's
poetry
gorgeous.
and food.
It's
Totally.
gorgeous. And so they talk with the chefs as well as critics and writers who are intimate with their work. It's available now on Netflix. It's 6-hour-long episodes. It's mostly family friendly. They're chefs, so I don't know if they dropped any F-bombs, but it's really great if you like any especially if you like Jiro Dreams of Sushi, and I know that's kind of a bigger doc. This is something that you're gonna just fall in love with.
I would imagine. It does look gorgeous.
Chef's Table. Look for it on Netflix. Thank you, The Lookout.
You're welcome.
Let's get some
I
dispatches
did find
from
that
the
one
front then,
comedy I
shall
really
we?
did like on
Oh,
Netflix.
wait. Pause. Robert found the comedy. What was it?
I did. Jen Kirkman. I'm gonna die alone, and I feel fine.
Great.
If you can, it was awesome. It just came out like a couple weeks ago, and I have to say, she does a great stand-up performance. The whole presentation was awesome. And it's
Right on.
a good laugh for adults, and especially single or divorced people will love it.
Talk about
Enjoy.
your dispatches. From the front. There you go.
now dispatches from the front. It's from a single or diverse person writing us.
I don't know if your boss, Brian, not Brian Brushwood, different Brian, is single or divorced or neither, but he wrote in and said, I'm 3 months into my cord cutting appearance. Oh, no, he's married. He says he's trying to convince the wife. She doesn't want cable back. It's hard to tell if I'm winning or losing the battle. I need to knock this one out of the park. I want to have DVR functionality for live shows coming through the antenna, and if possible, DVR live stuff coming from the Roku Sling TV channel. I remember you reporting that Windows Media Center is going away. Is it still the best option for getting these? I've got the time and money to spend. Get this right. What's the best option? Well, your options for over-the-air are many. The TiVo Romeo is often considered one of the best. That's what I use. I get a lot of people saying Channel Master is even better because you don't have to pay on an ongoing basis for the guide. A lot of people love Channel Master. There's also Simple TV, which will take over-the-air channels and put them on your Roku for you. There's a few other solutions like Simple TV as well. I don't know of any solutions to DVR Sling TV, but I'm pretty certain somebody out there has figured out a way to do it, because capturing live streams and saving them to computers is certainly not a new skill. So I put this question to Robert Heron before the show. Robert, did you come up with anything? Did you think of anything that might be able to do this sort of thing? If not, we'll just direct them towards the audience.
I was going to say there are a handful of products out there that will capture off of HDMI, and how legitimate these products are or not remains to be seen. But they save to an MPEG-4 file you can play on a mobile device right away, and those are widely available. You can do a search on something like Amazon to find those type of products. You mentioned some of my favorite DVRs. The TiVo OTA product is great, and if you can get it with lifetime service, which they offered for a brief period of time at least, it can be a better deal than even going with Channel Master's DVR Plus, which has to be my favorite non-TiVo DVR of all time. DVR Plus just rocks my world as far as just over the air. Tableau is another great DVR option you might want to throw into that pile as well, but it's more for network tuning only, and it will only stream to devices like a game console or a smart TV or your mobile phone. So if you're into just having the antenna hookup, yet you still want to be able to experience that just about anywhere you can get a data connection. I really enjoyed that product, and the community behind that product I thought was fantastic in terms of updates and in terms of just response to feature requests and things like that. A terrific product I looked at later last year, and I really came away impressed. But I'm looking right now on Amazon, and there are a handful of products that all claim to work just fine with capturing content off of things like DVD players and other products that have HDMI output. So these used to be kind of like, I don't know, black water or just strange products you had to go find either through mail order or things like that. But apparently there are a few of them out there now. So, but that's a good point. trying to DVR a live stream of content is a bit of a pain. And I don't think you'll be able to integrate that within Windows Media Center. And by the way, Windows Media Center is going to be around for quite a while. I mean, they were talking for Windows 7. I want to say it was 2020 for Windows 7 and 2023 before Windows Media Center will time out on Windows 8. So we have a while there if you're still using that as a platform.
Just can't get it in Windows 10. That's all.
Yeah.
No, and they're already pushing the reservations for Windows 10 if you go to your Windows Update on a Windows 7 or 8 or 8.1 machine and check the Windows Update, and the thing that'll pop up is saying, hey, would you like to reserve your copy of Windows 10? But yeah, it's going the way of the dodo, unfortunately. It could have been the greatest thing for cable card tuning, over-the-air tuning. I still have a dedicated PC for that, but and I hope somebody picks up the ball and runs with it. I know the folks over at Silicon Dust are working feverishly, and they're releasing in a couple of months or early this summer a product that will basically integrate the recording software into a NAS device, a network attached storage. And for me, that's where it's at, because you're going to need hard drives anyway to record all this crap. And having that just built in as software into the NAS or into a NAS style product that you're going to probably be using for a backup anyway, seems like a no-brainer. And I hope more NAS companies like Synology are paying attention to that, because I like a lot of different NAS manufacturers. I just want to see more than one manufacturer providing that hardware.
Right on. Mark writes in saying, whoa, bro, one comment from a viewer and you're dumping the beloved countdown sound effects on the front lines. And he goes on to make a very compelling case to it involving, puppies with big eyes and children. You know what's funny is I had a thought on how we might tweak that to where instead of a punishment-based system where it's like the timer comes up and buzzes out at you when you run out of time, what if we did a reward-based system where it's like our goal is to get each story through in a minute, and when we do it, we get to hear the angels go, ah, or something like that.
See, I was just going to be all trolly and go, well, why should we listen to this one piece of feedback either? But that's a much better answer. Actually, I really like that.
Right on.
Please don't mention my name. Okay, Gloria. Just got my Netflix account hacked and 3 problems arose. 1, could not stream because my concurrent limit was reached. 2, somebody changed my plan from the 2 stream to the 4 stream, adding to my costs. My Netflix suggestions got messed up until I deleted those from my history. It was strange. People were accessing my account from New Zealand, Mexico, UK, a VPN to the United States, with people using a smart TV, an iPad, a computer. Netflix was really good at showing how to fix my problem and very helpful. FYI, I never shared my password. My guess is somebody guessed your password, cracked your password, you had a weaker password, maybe you didn't. But that's a reason to have strong passwords for anything. And also, maybe not make that repeating credit card available. I know it's a hassle, but that's something to think about.
Yeah, that's true. Ryan chimes in wanting to talk about his experience watching Community on Yahoo Screen. He says it was nothing short of delightful for him. He says it's exactly what Hulu should be. The commercials are unobtrusive. They don't feel like a huge interruption. Many times there aren't any commercials. He does bring up, and he doesn't know if it was just an amazing cosmic coincidence or if it was all pre-planned, but built into the show was a joke about a guy changing his name to Subway in order to get Subway to open a restaurant on campus. Later on, they did a riff on Honda, which I did see the YouTube rips of that stuff. And the commercials he got in the break right after that were for Subway and for Honda, which something tells me is probably not an accident. But he said that he enjoyed it a whole bunch, and he hopes that Yahoo Screen continues to grow and get great content, which I think we're all in favor of great content, right?
Yeah, well, most of the time. Sometimes I like crappy content. It just depends on my mood. Most of the time, I like great content.
Robert Heron, crappy content apologist Tom Merritt.
Robert Heron is a provider of great content, and I always like what Robert Heron produces. Where can people find more of you, Robert?
You can check out my website, robertheron.com or heronfidelity.com. Gets you all to the same place. And I'm on Twitter. Follow me there. I'm always answering questions and posting thoughts and feelings about home theater and what the hell I'm up to. And if you're looking for what to do with that space in your house in terms of turning it into a great place to watch the content you love, I'm in love with those discussions. No, you were mentioning, just a quick throwback to the Netflix and the account hacking. They're one of the few services that make it really easy to go ahead and delete all devices that are connected to the service. Every service that provides streaming content with a password and a credit card should offer that. So if you can get back into your account, you can go ahead and kill all the devices connected to it. I wish more would do that, and I'll leave it at that.
Right
Go
on.
follow him, Robert Heron on Twitter, heronfidelity.com. Our website, Brian, is cordkillers.com. Did you know that?
I've heard that once or twice, but then I got there and I got confused because I don't
Well,
really,
and our email address is cordkillers@gmail.com.
Oh, well, yeah, that's where people should write, and then I'll write them back, maybe.
But if they want to watch us live, they're out of luck, right?
Well, no, they can tune in every Monday at 6 p.m. Central at diamondclub.tv, 5 p.m. Pacific.
Or 4 p.m. 4 p.m.
Whatever. I can't.
That's it for the show. I just have one last question, Brian.
Yep.
If I use my Tesla as network attached storage, does that make it a NAScar?
I see what you did there.
That was an awesome comment.
You and I spell awesome very differently. That's kill it. Show's over.
That, and then somebody also mentioned that the DVR Plus is on sale today, and today only.
Yeah, you can't play the music. Don't let them continue. They'll just infect everything. Hey guys, Tom and Brian here. We just wanted to say thank you to all of our $5 patrons who keep us loud, live, and independent. You guys make Cordkillers the production that it is.
Your name appears in the video credits and appears in our hearts. And if you'd like to become one of them or see who they are, you can go to patreon.com/cordkillers.
You'll need to do more than just go there, though. You'll have to sign up and, pledge an amount. But
Unless you just want to see who they are.
Well, I mean, you could gawk. That's a little creepy, isn't it?
If you want to be a gawker,
Let's go.
it's up to you.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.